I am so grateful for Jean Houston. I am so grateful. I love this woman. I love this woman. And she has, let's see, she's been in my life. Um, no, I've been in, let's see, how do you go? She's been in my life since 77, but I've been in her life since 84 when you came walking up my steps. and and I mean, she's really had an impact on my life, an amazing impact. And she's a good, authentic, huge spirit, an amazing soul. And yeah, I'm grateful for you, Jean.
I have known Jean Houston for 42 years, 1972. Many of you were much younger then. Jean was in her early 30s. She was already recognized by scientists and philosophers and people, particularly in consciousness studies, as a bright light on the horizon. And not just regular scientists like Margaret Mead in the last years of her life. Jean was her most treasured friend. And there are at least a score of people who are luminaries who you've heard of and admire who had that kind of relationship with her. Now, when I met her, we were at a conference, a psychology conference, and she had just landed from being overseas. It's kind of deja vu because she was sleep deprived, and now she's just landed from Greece, and I don't know if she's sleep deprived or not, but given the pace that she keeps, I imagine that she probably is. And yet, in this conference, I'd never heard of her before. I met her. She was, I just, whoa, that looks like Athena carrying a suitcase. And she had just come in. She was really tired. And we had this little chat, and I just couldn't believe the language that this person used in the elevator. And and in that little meeting, she invited me. She said, "This conference, every night is full except for Saturday night, and my husband and I are having a little gathering. And would you like to join us?" And so then the conference starts, and Jean is the opening keynote speaker, and Jean is on the big panel, and Jean is in the big debate, and Jean has the big breakout session. And I was just amazed to find out who this person was. And then Saturday night comes, and sure enough, I come up at 8 o'clock into their room, and it's this little hotel room. And so she only invited 5 people, and we spent into the night with the most captivating discussion. I was just blown away. I'd never seen that interesting an intellectual discussion, no less been part of one. And at the end of it, Jean gave me her address, and she handed it to me, and she said, "I know that you're going to have some interesting projects. Let me know about them." And so from time to time, if I wrote a paper, I'd send it to her, or if I did something that wound up as a newspaper article, I'd send it to her, and she would respond. This is before the internet and email. That meant she had to write, I mean, she'd give like 2 sentences, but they'd let me know she looked at it and she affirmed it. And she had, and it was just such a way of being just kind of validated. And I felt very special in that. And this was when you had to actually find what you were going to write it on, find an envelope, put the paper in the envelope, find a stamp, and mail it. And then I found out over the years how many people, many of whom we've never heard of, have that kind of relationship with her, where she's finding a way that she supports them invisibly in the background. The most recent one I just discovered was Jack Canfield, long before he was known. We were talking about that on the ride in from the airport. So so over the years, we had that kind of relationship, and we didn't really ever see each other. We didn't see each other for a couple of decades. And then, but Donna and I had gone to her events and heard her talk, and she was our superstar. She was the intellect. I mean, Donna and I have very different intellectual heroes, believe it or not. but Jean was the one crossover that we both felt the same about. And and so then when she met Donna, totally independent of me, um, and she was the first one before Donna's book was out that was outside of Donna's community of admirers to say in public that Donna's work is brilliant. That was the word you used, brilliant. And it was, that was gutsy to do that. And so we got to know her, and we really came to love you. And it's like whatever I say about her career and her accomplishments is very secondary to just the specialness of what she gives and who she is to us. But what she has done is truly amazing. She is like a planetary psychologist or planetary mythologist, and she consults to presidents, including our presidents, and to presidents and prime ministers and other leaders all over the world. And what she does is very interesting if you really watch it, because Jean has an ability to grasp what is happening beyond consensual reality, what is happening beyond that, so that she's able to talk at a higher perspective. Yet when she explains it to you, you are changed. Your consciousness shifts. And so she goes to these countries all over the world, often under the auspices of the United Nations, often in different contexts, and she helps them to understand their traditions that often in modernization they've kind of are leaving behind, and she helps them re-embrace them and re-embrace how the wisdom of those traditions grew to be aligned with the genetics of the people in that culture. And so they embrace that, and yet they are at the same time understanding the forces of social change and learning how to harness those forces to help their nation evolve wisely and consciously. It's an amazing gig. That's just part of what she does. Um, but for us, as we got to know her, she eventually decided to move to Ashland, Oregon, where we lived. And she very graciously, I mean, there's many reasons she moved to Ashland, but she made us feel like we were the reason she was moving to Ashland. And the way that she did it, though, was, I mean, now I can't use her language because her language is, like 4 octaves above my language. But to just put it into the most crass, she basically has said to us, "You jerks." Bob and I picked up our entire empire, which was considerable, picked it up, moved it 3,000 miles from Pomona, New York to Ashland, Oregon to be closer to you. And the same month we get there, you go off on a 1,000-city teaching tour. What kind of friends are that? So I just want to say to you, Jean, that whatever would have emerged from a closer collaboration with you not having happened is one of my few regrets about our success. And so that's an alternative reality, however, that I can just relish in, just imagining what it might have been. So Jean is here today to talk to you on the topic of energy, consciousness, and cosmology. This is not a canned talk that she's given 60 times around the world. This is a talk that she wrote for you. As a result, she'll probably stay closer to her notes than she would if she delivered it many times. You'll get her dynamic interactiveness in her workshop. But I think that if I could just summarize what I think she's going to be telling you is she's going to be telling you how what it is you do as energy workers, where it fits into the larger story, and how you can participate in changing that larger story. So it is with tremendous, really honored and just joy that I introduce you to Jean Houston.